and welcome to Law and Order SVU here on FANVERSATION. I am Yael Tygiel. That's Taylor Gates. I am so excited to talk about season 26, episode 4, Constricted. Before we jump in, there's no one watching live because we changed the time on them last minute. We're such jerks. Sorry. Anyway, if you need help, if you need to talk to somebody, reach out to RAINN. Their number is 1-800-656-4673. 1-800-656-4673. Taylor, do you want to tell us what that spells, or should I do it?
It spells hope, everybody.
It spells hope. I was trying to be helpful.
Hopeful.
I was trying to be hopeful. This episode does deal with serious things. This episode did have a death in it of a child. Very serious issues. This podcast will say a lot of stuff that is less serious. Although my soapbox today is I'm very serious about my topic because it is very dangerous. And so we will get to that, but consider this your content warning. SVU does deal with very dark, serious issues, and we here on the SVU podcast do what we want. That seems like a good description. We do what we want. Okay. The quick cap for this episode, season 26, episode 4, Constricted, is a romantic date ends with a teenager fighting for her life in the hospital. Carisi can't help bringing the case home with him as he envisions the dangers ahead for his growing daughters. Taylor, what did you think of this episode?
I had fun.
Great.
I knew where it was going from the beginning. That dad, I was like, that guy's fishy. I thought the ending was so cheesy and didn't make any sense with what we know about these characters. But I had a good time. There were some great lines. And just what? This was chaotic, classic Silly Goose SVU. So I was here for it.
Oh, good. I was worried it was too boring for you.
No, are you kidding me? This was insane. Like, these people were nuts.
I really enjoyed this episode. It was very silly, which is so funny because it dealt with very serious things. I had such a good time. I'll tell you this. I spent the first half positive that this was about this father and how he taught his son until the second choking victim runs into the street. And I went, wait. Is this an episode about choking?
Yeah. Kind of.
And then it circled back to being about the dad.
Yeah.
First of all, we know how much I love it when we discuss a kink. That said, this episode did not discuss the kink. In fact, they demonized it wholeheartedly as though choking porn is like a whole big thing. I just want to tell people, I would say nowadays, most pornography includes choking as just another part of it. As much as like groping a breast, choking is like on par with becoming normalized. And we'll talk more about choking later. Because I can't not. I was so amused by this episode. We have people live in our chat. Thank you for joining us at this time that I did not prepare you for. Alexa's here. Deanna's here. Thank you for being here. I also want to say, Hannah and Ryan, I hope they find their way back to each other. Also, Hannah's mom. Can we talk about Hannah's mom?
Yeah, let's do that.
I believe this was a good mother.
Me too.
Not only was she trying to make the best of this situation, she did not shame her daughter in any way. She gave her a safe place to be. I was worried that like they were going to come home and then someone was going to attack the Hannah.
Yeah.
And so The fact that like she gave her a safe place, she talked to her, she explained to her that, you know, it's not just about using condoms, and you don't have to do anything you don't want. And then afterwards was by her side and never shamed her, and like held her hand and was trying to understand and be there for her, and called SVU. Like, this was a good mother, and I feel like it's been so long since we've seen a good mother.
Well, I even thought the other mom was pretty good.
Yes.
Because she was like, this guy sucks. He's gonna get out. Like, I was like, wow, this is such a stark contrast to the mom we talked about a couple days ago, who was like, I'm not gonna be left alone with 3 kids. Shut up. You should be like more like these moms who are not playing around. Okay?
Yes, I feel like, again, like we haven't seen good moms in a long time. I feel like my notes are always like, this mom's the worst.
Yeah.
Not
These
today.
were great. I was like, yeah, exactly.
Shall we give some actor shout outs since we're talking about the moms? Okay, so our moms were Paula Blake, that's the boy's mom, is Allison McGaddy. And then the mom's, the girl's mom, I believe, yes, is Rosie Benton. Great performances by the moms. The kids. Let's talk about the kids. Hannah was played by Maya Drake, and Ryan was played by Landon Mass. Alexa in the chat says, I missed the first 5 minutes of this episode, the first time it aired. I enjoyed it better without the drawn out intro. Interesting.
We have been getting some long intros lately.
Is it the Carisi stuff? Because let's talk about that for a sec, because that'll take a second.
Oh my God.
Sir.
I'm so tired of it already. Like, I'm so tired of it. We had this with Stabler. I don't need it again.
It's not just that. I'm like, you knew Stabler at least like had his children and was surprised by their gender. Carisi jumped into a family of all girls and now is like, wait a second. Girls are difficult to deal with.
I'm so done. I'm so done. I don't care. It's so boring. Sorry. It's so boring.
I kind of wish he would have decked that guy.
Me too. Make it interesting.
Or when he went to talk to Benson and was like, I need parenting advice, I thought he was gonna like run this guy's info.
Yeah, or do something, but it was just like something that didn't really lead anywhere. You're just like, oh my God, girls are sexualized at a young age. No shit. I could have told you that.
Wait a second, Carisi, didn't you used to work at SVU?
Didn't you literally work with our squad for many years?
Yeah. Sorry, my texts. I was annoyed with Carisi's behavior. Also, like the part where Benson was like, Finn should take this one. I appreciated that because Finn's behavior was like not what we want out of an SVU detective, but felt helpful and real.
Yeah. Agreed.
Deanna in the chat says, when my mom walked in the mom's convo, she had a what the fuck reaction. Yeah, the moms in this were not bad. Deanna says the legging part made me eye roll. Honestly, when Benson's response, that was perfection.
The girls?
Yeah. Who decided?
Eat them up.
Yeah. Sorry. Oi, oi, guys. Oi. I'm so sorry. I like that I text on our show.
I can't.
I used to take phone calls from my parents when I would do Twitch streams.
Oh my Lord.
Sorry, guys. I wanted, when Hannah was telling Benson and Curry about like what had happened, when she finally like revealed all the steps of what happened, I wanted Benson, like when she was like, yeah, first times are awkward, I thought they were gonna reveal like a little bit more, like Curry being like, you know, my first time was whatever, or like something.
Do you know she had a son?
Yes.
Okay, I forgot about that fully.
It's Okay, do you remember the episode where both she and Bruno explained that a boy's brain doesn't finish growing until 24 or some bullshit?
Evidently no.
Okay, so there's an episode where they both say the same thing. That's the episode where we find out she has a teenage son.
Gotcha.
This episode, interestingly, reminded me of last episode where, like, as the spice was happening, in this one it was positive, and the last one it was negative. It then cut away, and then we like had to slowly learn what had happened.
I like that, honestly. I don't like it when they tell me, because then it's like I'm not guessing with the detectives. Like, you know? I don't like knowing what happened. I like finding out with them. It's more interesting that way to me.
Okay. That's a good way to look at it. I wasn't sure how it felt, honestly.
I think it would have like severely dulled the impact having seen it and known.
That's fair. I feel like usually I think I agree with you, because sometimes I know there's like sometimes we see the attacks and I am like, I don't enjoy watching this. This feels gratuitous. So I agree with you, I think.
Yeah, it's with something like this where it is so like, I don't know. I feel like it just would have been boring if we would have seen it, like the rest of the case.
What Deanna in the chat was watching leggings or was watching in leggings. Hilarious. Were you wearing leggings when you watched?
Yeah, I'm always wearing leggings.
I'm breaking in a pair of skinny jeans, and so
no, absolutely not.
I need them for my motorcycle lessons.
Well, have fun with that. I'll be in my leggings over here.
Anyway, I'm looking through my notes. I'm like, what do I want to talk about? Oh, let's talk about Silva suggesting Velasco have a man-to-man talk with the dad, and then the dad trying to bribe Velasco.
I kind of love that. I was like, this is so overt that it's cracking me up. Like,
honestly, it's so the next scene where Velasco says, like, he tried to bribe me, and then he was like, why don't we go talk to the kid? And both Carisi and Benson were like, we didn't hear that. I was like, that's bad cop work right there, but okay.
Yeah, we like didn't really do anything with that, even though we definitely should have.
Honestly, I thought that Velasco was going to try to talk to the dad. That would have been the move I would have made, was to pull the dad aside outside and been like undercover, quotes on that, like, you know, trying, like pretending that he's accepting the bribe.
Okay, buddy, we need this. We need a better coffee machine. Like,
whatever. Okay, when we got to the second case where the girl ran into the street, where did your brain go?
I was like, okay, are we doing like oh, this is an epidemic for kids thing, like on phones, because we even had Carisi's kid get a phone. I'm like, oh shit, she's about to look at something on that phone, and it's gonna be all about the kids and their damn phones nowadays. Like, I really thought we were doing that, like not necessarily like Slender Man, but kind of like the Slender Man case of like these kids are all being indoctrinated by like this type of video or this person, which I mean we kind of did with like underage looking up porn thing and that going around, but I really thought it was gonna be some like kid cultural subsection thingy.
I agree. I thought that's where we were headed as well. I was like, oh, like there's this weird choking epidemic.
Yeah.
But also, like, I was like, how does this tie into anything? It almost felt like, I understand like how we eventually got there and it was his cousin and the dad showed him the porn, whatever. I get it. I watched the episode. But I almost feel like at that moment I went, oh, this feels like the episode should have wrapped up and then like they were called out to another case. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it didn't fit either. I was like, wait, what? Like it's like so convoluted too with like the car hitting. I don't know. I feel like we could have like taken that out and had more time with the dad bribing or whatever, you know? Like I just did not feel necessary to me.
I agree. Also, like more with the dad, like getting to the point, because his, like, as you said, his change, his like whole
Like,
I'm the problem speech. Like, who's buying
it
that?
was so disingenuous and weird and thrown in. I hated it. I was like, no, this guy should be fighting against this. He should think he still did the right thing, in my opinion.
I didn't give that actor a shout out. The guy who played the dad, Josh Blake, was Troy Garrity. He deserves the shout out because he was so clearly awful from the beginning.
Yeah.
The moment what was it? The
Buyers and sellers.
yes, the women are buyers. Ooh. I was like, what the hell is he talking?
I mean, okay, here's the thing. I was like with him for a second.
Because he said they have the power of choice.
I was like, okay, so true. Like that consent, we can choose. Like that's why we got to be a good guy because they can pick anyone they want. And then it just went and veered really far left turn. But I was like, I'm following. I'm with you. And then I was very quickly not with him anymore
because he was almost there. He said they have the power of choice.
Yeah.
And then he said, so what are you going to do to close the deal?
And then I said,
no.
I don't know about that.
No. They have the power of
choice. Like, I'm like, okay, like, because how are you gonna like prove? I don't know. I was like, how are you gonna prove that you are like a good guy? But like, that's not what he meant. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm with you, but something's off. Something's real off with this. Like,
it's the women of the power of choice, right?
True.
So how are you going to be the best choice?
Right. That's exactly what he should have been saying. And it is just not.
It's not what he said. Yeah. No. Oi. I love when the mom threw him out. You were right. That was such a fun scene.
He's a legend.
And she says the worst part, he was going to let his son go to prison. He continues to throw his son under the bus.
Crazy work. Like, nuts.
Yeah. At the end when Benson was like, be a man, blah, blah, blah. That was the moment where I was like, ooh, Benson and Curry, and I guess Silva can come too, should stand there and emasculate him, like yell at him about what a shitty man he is, because then he will slip up and say something else that they can probably charge him with.
100%.
I was like, Carissa, you are not helping right now. What we need is him to feel like these women are trying to emasculate him. It's the opposite of what Silva told Velasco to do.
Right. Yeah.
It also like kind of bugs me that was Silva's suggestion.
I mean,
because it didn't help.
I don't like Silva that much, but I'm like, that makes sense. Like, that makes sense for a train of thought. Like, he ain't gonna listen to them, so go in there and pretend you're on his level. Like, play good cop with them. You know,
sure.
I was like, okay, I'll allow it.
But it didn't go anywhere. Work with him. It was a useless try.
Yeah, but I was like, I appreciate the instinct.
Okay, but what has she done? Right? Like, what is she doing?
Not shit, but she interviewed maybe one person, and fine, but but I was like, all right, you're not that dumb. That made sense to me.
Okay. The most important part of this episode, the key to this episode, is that we found out that the playground footlicker got 2 years.
Yeah.
I was so happy that we found out what happened with that case.
You know what? We better see something happen to him in jail because I need him to keep being the Maddie storyline of last season. Now it's playground footlicker. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, keep bringing him back every episode. And the finale better revolve around him breaking out or looking someone in jail or something.
Bronwyn helps him get out.
And like, I mean, that would make sense to me, honestly. Like, she does scream foot fetish, so I'm just saying.
We don't kink shame.
No. I mean, I'll shame her for other things, but
speaking of kinks and kink shaming, it's time for me to get on my soapbox. I guess soapboxing is my new segment. Okay. Something that this episode failed to do, which is such a disappointment. Before I continue, Alexa in the chat says yes, footlicker, and Deanna says more footlicker arc.
What the people are demanding.
We are demanding more of this footlicker. Honestly, I don't ever need to meet them. We can just keep like throwing a line here and there. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, this episode dealt with choking, which is actually called erotic asphyxiation. And we have heard on this show specifically quite a few stories about autoerotic asphyxiation, which is when people choke themselves during sexual activity. So, two things to know: autoerotic is doing it yourself, and erotic asphyxiation is doing it with a partner or partners. Autoerotic asphyxiation is incredibly dangerous because you are alone. Not to say that erotic asphyxiation or choking is not dangerous. It actually very much is. But when done safely and right, is not a bad thing. If people are consenting and enjoy it. So they say that it heightens sexual arousal and makes the orgasms more intense. I'm really going deep dive on this. It is dangerous. It is risky, as we saw. It can lead to serious injuries, including cardiac arrest, brain damage from lack of oxygen, and death. It can lead to experiencing irregular heart rate, cardiac arrest, death. Most experts advise against it. That said, it can be done properly. There isn't a 100% safe way to practice breath play, which this will fall under, but that doesn't mean you and your partner cannot discuss it and see how you feel and trust each other and get there. Again, not a doctor, not encouraging you to do it, just giving information, because this episode dealt with choking so much, but it didn't talk about it at all.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to keep going. So during breath play, you or your partner restrict oxygen to the brain. And that may leave you lightheaded or feeling dizzy. And then when the pressure is released, the oxygen and blood will continue to flow and you'll get a different type of rush, which releases dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. There's also a like power play psychological element to it, right? Somebody is literally controlling your breath. It's very important to be paying attention to your partner, which is another reason why I'm like, why would you do this your first time? Your first time.
He's 16 and dumb, and his dad is unhinged.
But like, first baby steps, one move at a time, dude.
He's a teenager. Of course he's not going to do that.
All right. And then Deanna, luckily, thank you in the chat, is reminding us about safe words. Thank you, Deanna. When it comes to any type of play that will make it so that the person being choked or whatever is unable to breathe or speak, you give them other ways. So a lot of times what people do is they put something in their hand like keys, so that if they want to safe word or say no or stop, they release that and it makes a noise and that person who is choking knows to stop. So that is something to know. Anyway, the most important part is educate yourself, communicate, and make sure there's consent. I just wanted to teach everybody a little bit about choking because this episode, again, talked about it as though it was this big, terrible thing.
Yeah.
Also, I'm personally, the idea of choking someone from behind tells me that you're not paying attention to them at all and feels very dangerous.
Also, really weird about pornography. Like, it's just not that deep. Like, for kids, sure. They're like, this guy watches porn. Like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Strong Army says, Yael, you're talking about erotic asphyxiation. They were copies of the Assange adult film. It's like thinking of doing martial arts after watching a kung fu film. Absolutely. You guys are both right. Yes, I just wanted to talk about choking.
Yeah. I just feel like they demonize that and pornography, period.
Absolutely. I think that this they never really talk about like good porn. This show really doesn't talk about good porn.
No.
And like there are, I don't know if you made it to this side of TikTok, but like there are production companies that are very like sex positive, made by women, you know, have lots of really amazing open discussions. There are ethical porn out there. And maybe I'll get on my soapbox about that some other time. But this one, like, very specifically was all about choking porn, which again, like, I don't know necessarily that that's a like a subgenre because choking is so prevalent in all porn.
Yeah.
So much so that like I feel like a lot of people these days just tend to stick a hand on a neck whenever they feel like it. And I'm like, why? Deanna says, what would be a good first timer kink? That's a really
as we've been saying.
I first of all, I think that's a very interesting question because different people are into different things. So like if you're into pain as opposed to if you're into bondage, as opposed to if you're into, you know, power exchanges, or different body parts. There are levels to all of them. I would say Google it, do some research, read there's like quizzes online where you can look at different like lists of kinks that you might be into and fetishes and things like that, that it might be interesting to look at that list. And if there's something that you're like, oh, that sounds interesting, and then Google what that is and maybe see how that makes you feel. And then with a trusted partner, and that's the big key, is trusted partner that you can communicate with, discuss attempting that. That's my advice for first timers.
Well, I think, I don't know, maybe she means like for people who've never had sex before, which maybe just don't.
Oh, I think personally, if that's the question, then my belief is start with simple,
Regular. Yeah,
vanilla, but
Yeah.
like I would say even like you start with making, you do the bases, right? First base, second base, third, like you start, look at me doing a sports thing. Start with hands, then mouths, then genitals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see. I look at Taylor, you got it right. I was wrong.
Well, yes, I think the answer is probably for first time, just avoid, especially if you're that young.
Yeah. I mean, my brain is like a spanking is like, I think first time okay, but like talk to them, ask.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. He didn't ask her if this is what she wanted.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like she even wanted to do doggy style.
Right.
Anyway, shall we move on to best lines?
Sure.
Taylor, do you tolerate me?
At times.
All right. Okay, best lines. I think I just have Carisi shouting, "Where'd you learn to choke during sex, Ryan?" Because it was so funny.
This whole thing was just so, oh, a cat came in here. Hello. We're gonna leave her alone. She's a little vicious.
You're so mean to me.
No,
You just told me there's a cat.
I cannot pick her up. She will bite me.
Please jump in front of the screen.
I don't think she will. She doesn't like really like people. Okay, some of my lines. That better be a girl, not a sports book, because I feel like we need to talk about the children gambling epidemic. Because that's a thing that's happening.
Is it?
Yes. Kids are like betting online. I feel like that's gonna come into play because I know that that's a big thing.
Okay.
Peach emoji, that's a little bit more than friends, isn't it? Yes. Relax, my guy. I'm not your guy. So petty. My first time was in the back of a Hyundai Elantra. That's so specific.
So specific.
We're gonna cooperate. No need for the adversarial tone. petty. When they're talking to the kid and he's like so sad, he's like, Hannah broke up with me. Yeah, that sucks. Like they did not give a fuck, and I thought that was very funny. Andrew goes to public school. He's always been a handful. Like, okay. The mom saying, upset, I want him out. I love that. She was a legend. And finally, I handed my son a VR headset, but I didn't tell him how to choke it. But I didn't tell him to choke anyone. Out of context, that's so funny. And even in context, it was so funny.
Yeah, this episode was very silly.
A VR headset. He didn't tell him to choke
it. Thank you for those lines, for reminding us what a hilarious episode this was. Okay. Shower thoughts. For our friends who are listening in the shower, first and foremost, Mara, please call me.
Exactly.
If you are confused as to what I'm talking about, go watch season 26, episode 2, Shower Thoughts. Mara, please call me. Also, this was a thought I had while watching it. There's a scene where they're all in the squad room and everyone is wearing dark grays and like dark colors. And Curry was wearing this gorgeous, like just pink tank top.
She had great clothes. Was this episode where she was wearing like the red too? Like the red blazer?
Red blazer. I know there was a part where she was wearing like a red sweater.
I think that's what I mean, but it had like the red under it too. I was like, okay, surf.
Yeah. Honestly, I was like, everyone's wearing dark colors and she's wearing this pink tank top and she looked amazing.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are we not dressing anyone else better?
Yeah. True. That's facts.
Those are my shower thoughts for this.
I liked it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm so ready for what did we learn? Okay. I actually learned something new.
Okay, you go and then I'll go.
I didn't realize that you could use a VR headset to watch.
I was going to say that.
And then Tari was watching with me and he says there's porn made for VR.
I guess that's true, but like that's a rich people thing. I was literally gonna say, I was like, I didn't know people did that. But it does make sense because hands free too. And it's like right there. Very easy.
That actually makes it so much grosser when you say it that way.
Well, it's true.
It is true. Yeah. But like he was saying they like they shoot it so that like you can look around and like be in it. Wild. I didn't know that.
I wouldn't not try.
I'd have to, if I'm gonna watch it, I would only be able to watch, I think, ethically made porn.
I'm a reader. I like to read.
Same.
So do you.
Yes.
AO3? Anybody know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't read that.
Well,
Deanna lets us know. I think you can hook it up to your laptop. Thanks. We're all learning so much, or sync it up with. We're learning so much.
Yeah, that was my thing I learned too. I was like, interesting.
Yeah. Wild. Danny Thomas in the chat says, thoughts on rumors Mariska is ready to move on. She says she's announcing something in January. First of all, thank you, Danny, for sharing that information with us. Second of all, how dare she?
I sort of believe it though.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we are now on Mariska watch.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of, because like, yeah, she did say something, there's some big announcement in January, and I was just like, I don't really know what else it would be.
That Stabler's show got canceled and he's returning to SVU.
But it's like her personally. I kind of believe it. I fear. Like, I wish I didn't, but.
Well, that is terrifying.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if that were the case, I would believe that the show would be ending. Because, I mean, it can continue without her, but do we want it to?
They want to make money, and so they're going to see if it can before they cancel it.
I see.
in my opinion.
Deanna says, if the show ends with Liv and Stabler getting together, I'll lose it.
If it ends without that, I'll lose it because they've been building it up for 8 trillion years.
I think that's the big question is, if it ends, are they together or not?
If they end it without that, oh my God. Like, here's the thing. Whether you like the ship or not, the amount of teasing and hinting and conversation around it, it will feel insane if they don't finally do it or heavily hint at it, in my opinion. That's just me.
I agree. I agree. But I also wonder if they were, let's say they get together, not to jump ahead, but if they get together at the end of the season and that's how the show ends, or that's how her leaving happens, she will probably still appear on his show.
I don't know.
And she'll probably, if the show continues without her, she'll Craig in it and come back. Appear.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Deanna says, I mean, if they just end it with them meeting up and not saying a word and fade to black, that's a letdown. Absolutely. But honestly, I totally would not be surprised.
I can see it playing out like that.
Right? That totally feels like what they would do just to be dicks. Danny says, I remember Dick Wolf saying SVU's over and Mariska was ready to leave. I remember that as well. And yet
I believe that to be true.
I believe, and I want to say that I believe this was said prior to Stabler getting his show. And therefore I feel like, and it was definitely prior to the mothership returning. Game changer, right? Like the mothership returning tells me this show, even without Mariska, would continue.
Yeah. They want to make money. Sorry. That's what it comes down to. And I think they'll at least try it out and see if they can still make money with her gone. It'll be interesting. Or maybe they position it, I don't know, like they're doing some not weird stuff, but like Amanda kind of being back, like Carisi being so central these last couple episodes. Like maybe they're teeing up those two somehow being the sort of faces of it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't really make sense for Amanda because she's like obviously doing the international whatever it's called now.
Intelligence.
But, yeah. Okay. Sure. Started with an I. I forget. Love her. Literally love her. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested because unfortunately, who can be the face of it when she's gone? They're gonna try and find someone. Like I love Finn. I don't know that he's the face of it.
I don't know if he's the face.
Interested in doing that, frankly. Like
that's the thing. I don't think Ice-T would want to be.
Yeah, I don't think that he would be, and everyone else is too new. But so Rollins and Carisi would be like the safe choices for that.
Curry would be interesting.
She'd be interesting, but unfortunately,
she's not going to be. Also, she's still not even a regular.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that they're going that direction. I love it, but this country is deeply sexist and racist. So
honestly, though, could you imagine how great it would be if the former IAB captain was now the head of SVU?
Awesome. Especially if we built a good team around her. And I'm not saying that no one from this current team could be around her, but we would need some new, fresh perspectives, frankly. Even with Silva there, like, there's somewhat of that, but she comes from the cop background. She's not the new voice that's going to push back. Like, she's not what we need. I'm sorry.
She's also not doing anything.
Yeah. They would really need to build her up if she's gonna be a central, integral part of the like big shift.
Alexa in the chat says Ice-T will leave with Mariska. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Ice-T is enjoying a paycheck where he does very little.
Yep.
He shows up, says some quips, sometimes does a little bit of movement. Very rarely has his own episode, but mostly
that's perfect for him because when he has his own episode, it's like fulfilling, but he like doesn't really have to like put the hours in the rest of the time. No shade to Ice-T, by the way. This is like I'm glad he's getting his bag and having a good time.
Totally. Riston in the chat says, I thought the Mariska announcement was more about a project she's working on with Jamie Lee Curtis. Honestly, the announcement could be anything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if, her Joyful Hearts organization is doing something else. I wouldn't be surprised if she's announcing a movie or she's adopted another child or, whatever it is. None of that would surprise me. We're just speculating on if the show would end.
In my gut, I just weirdly do kind of feel like it might be.
I mean, they've broken the records, so they can.
And it's 26 seasons, but this year is 25 years.
Yeah.
This was 1999 when they started. So it's a long time. It'll be devastating. I'll cry, but it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe in January.
I mean, if that is the announcement, then they know and they have this rest of the season to finish and wrap it up.
Yeah, that's so true.
Which I'd appreciate, right? Like if it was a last minute decision, that would really piss me off.
Yeah, agreed.
Or if it was between seasons like somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, that is
also the show, whenever it's canceled, it's gonna get rebooted 15 years later and she'll be back in some capacity. So it's like nothing's ever really dead anymore.
She'd probably stay on as a producer.
Yeah, no, I can totally. She's not leaving fully. I could not see that happening.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it for this episode. We will return tomorrow, correct?
Yes.
Tomorrow at 12:30 Pacific, 3:30. Nope. Yes.
Yes, or 3. I don't know. Somewhere around there, you guys. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
Around the same time today.
Yeah, really, the solution is to subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss it. But also, I think there's a bell button that tells you when we go live. I don't know. And then also, I changed the timings, so it should let you know when we're going to start. Currently, it says 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern. But that might change. Keep an eye out.
Yeah.
We, as you know, are doing the 7 days of SVU, catching up on the first half season this week, every day. Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody. Oh, wait, I didn't tell anybody where to find us.
Oh, okay.
She's Taylor Gates. You can find her on Twitter at Elphaba_Ann and on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_.
That's Yael Tygiel. She's on Instagram at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. You can also find her at Good Little Library Mouse, where she talks about romance books, on her Instagram under that handle, or on the book section of FANVERSATION.com.
There it is.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.